guarantee it. All right, I'm starting it all up then, and we're about good to go.
There's a beautiful chat room here. Hello,
yep.
chat room. You're beautiful.
They're all here.
And you're the adulation of the world over.
It's all good. All right, here we go.
They love you for your... Oh, sorry.
3, 2, 1. Hello, everyone. Welcome to Core. This is Core. We're talking about video games. It's me and John and Bo. When I say me, I mean Scott. So Scott, John, and Bo. And we're here to talk about all things gaming this week, what we've been up to, what we're playing, what we're thinking. And we're going to have a good time. We hope you will as well. It's Wednesday. It's September 4th. It's 2019. Welcome to a new month, everybody. It's a good reminder, by the way, to let people know that when we start a new month, it's a great time to hop onto our Patreon, which is available at patreon.com/core show. And as I mentioned at the top of the show, to those who are listening live, I'm going to start putting our pre-show and post-show sort of banter, prep, discussion as a separate file in the Patreon. So if you're a patron, you just get it. If you're here live, you got it too, kind of in an unedited sort of, flash in the pan sort of way. But if you're listening at home and you want that extra stuff, great time to get in. And it doesn't matter what level you're on. It's going to go to everybody. So go check that out. Patreon.com/core show. All right. So we should dive in. There's a lot of stuff going on. I'm about, week and a half, 2 weeks, whatever it is, away from the Nintendo Switch Lite coming to my house, which I'm very excited about.
You ordered one.
I did.
I didn't realize you ordered one.
I did, John, and I justified it as a business expense, is what I did. Which seems, I feel guilty even saying the words, even though it's kind of true, right? Like,
it is true. Part
of what I do is, game related, and a lot of it is tax deductible sort of business expenditure, and that's one of them. And it should be easy for me to just go, oh, well, that's a business expense for the year that we're gonna, we plan on these kinds of things, that we should do that. But still, there's something in the back of my mind that, like, some stodgy old man with a bad mustache that says, that's a kid's thing. You're just playing. That's not work. That's what that voice says. But F that guy.
You earn your living in video games.
Yeah.
It's your business.
Yeah, it is. And I have to keep reminding myself. But anyway, that's coming. I got a yellow one. So that's cool.
Oh,
yeah.
Yellow.
Yeah, they got that. And they got that blue thing and the gray thing. But I decided to go with the yellow. And
Amber is the color of your energy. That's what I've heard.
I was just listening to 311 yesterday. Like, a lot. That's so funny you would do that, because seriously, I've been on a bender with 311. Just nonstop. Weird. I don't know if you knew this, John, but 311 has continued to put out albums, and not only have they continued to put out albums, they've continued to put out, like, good music. Like, it's actually good, which I was surprised to hear, but, like, their 2017 and 2019 album, their 2019 album just came out. They're both really good. I recommend people check it out. You're all thinking, that's some band in the 90s. Aren't they dead now? No, just go check it out. 311 still happening, and amber is the color of your energy. Anyway, there's that caffeine. It's coming back. All right, where was I doing?
We're talking about the color of your Switch Lite, your pending Switch Lite.
That's right. It's going to be yellow. Early reviews, there's been a few, are all saying great things about that hardware, which makes me excited. Better sticks, better construction, better all that stuff, which is so typical for Nintendo for a second run of something. But we'll see when I get it, and we'll talk about it on the show. But it's one of the things I'm most excited about, and it's a weird year for me, because the two things I'm most excited about games-wise before the end of the year, and this is usually the holiday season coming up is like the time to really hunker down about the games you're most excited about. And honestly, the two things I'm most excited about is a portable-only Nintendo console and a copy of Link's Awakening, the remake. That's kind of my two big things, and it's weird to feel that way. I know there's other stuff, like Control just came out. I totally want to play that. People are raving about it. It's weird, though. I've been hesitant to pull the trigger on this AAA thing because I've been having too much fun with, like, either older games or small indie games lately, and I just haven't done it. But outside of that, I don't know what else there is to be super stoked about. I was curious if you guys had any like on your radar games that you just I cannot wait for it to come out and you're gonna play the hell out of it in November or whenever it comes. Like for you, what is that?
It's been a weird year for sure.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I didn't think that I would be in September going, well, yeah, Resident Evil 2 was my favorite game I've played this year.
Mm-hmm.
I never in a million years. I mean, I knew I was going to be excited for it. I knew I was going to play it. I knew it was going to be a nostalgia hit, but I didn't think I'd be sitting here this long after it came out still going, yeah, that was Resident Evil, man. Excellent. It's still really good.
If you had to call
I think I would play this much No Man's Sky.
Oh, right. I mean, if you had to call it right now, would you call RE2 your game of the year, the game of 2019 for you?
Yeah, I think so.
Wow.
It's been a long time since I've finished a game and just gone, I need to play that again.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm not even talking about how we give you a hard time and say, oh, you only beat 50% of it, mind you. I'm talking about the official 100%. And then I turned around and said, I want to play more of it again.
I think that game is more like 150%. There's like
you got to give full effort.
You gotta go in and you play the game, and then there's the credits run, and then you play the shitty girl game. And it sounded like it's not about the girl. I cannot force myself to go back and finish that damn thing.
Claire is better than Leon in this game. She wasn't in the original, I don't think. But in this one, Claire's a little more... Leon's a little, like, hands on hips, like Boy Scout-y. He's just like, oh, I gotta save the city. I gotta do it. I'm gonna try very hard. Mm-hmm. Claire's more of, she's got kind of smart-ass quips about what's going on. She's got thoughts and opinions.
That's true. She's willing to share them,
You watch a video about a bunch of people dying from the plague, and she just goes, oh, I'm glad I watched that. Like, she's just... doesn't really have a big, strong opinion on anything, so I like her run.
She's an unusual girl, that Claire.
Stuff that hasn't come out yet. I want to play that. Is it the Outer Worlds? Outer Worlds?
Oh, Outer. Yeah,
Wilds.
Outer Wilds.
No, that's the one that's already out.
No, that's Outer Wilds, right? I do this every time with that game. Those two games.
There's Outer Worlds and Outer Wilds, so I don't know which is which.
It's the Outer Worlds.
Outer Worlds. It's
the Obsidian RPG is Outer Worlds.
Yes.
That's
the one.
The guy's what made Fallout New Vegas, which was the best Fallout game ever made. Shut up, John. I know you like the other ones better, but that's the best one. Mm-hmm. If it was snowing, John would like it more. Okay, that's how it would be. But,
you're not wrong.
Yeah, but it's that. Okay, I forgot about that. That is a game I'm really looking forward to. I forgot that was this year. For some reason, I thought they bumped it. But they didn't, did they? That's still a thing. That's happening in what, November, probably? Let's see. Outer Worlds.
It's soon. Probably November.
Let's take a look here. Because I think you're right. The Outer Worlds. Oh, it's The Outer Worlds.
The Outer Worlds.
Yeah, and it's release date. Oh, lordy. This is a pain in the butt. Here we go. PC Gamer says that it's slow. Okay, no, that's just their website. Okay, it says, oh my gosh, I'm continuing with ad blocker, fellas. I don't want to. Okay, this says you can
October 25th, 2019.
Thank you. Oh, that's sooner. That's even sooner than I thought. I thought it'd be like November-ish. That's amazing. So yeah, I take it back. There is one other game I really care about this year, and I think it's this one. Despite not knowing a ton about it, but I'm pretty excited.
I was gonna say, like, I get the aesthetic feel about it, but I don't really know much. Is this just Fallout, but like without the Fallout IP and in space?
Kinda. I mean, from what I've heard, it described to me is it follows a lot of that kind of structure.
I have one for all of us. So I'm cheating and I'm looking at a list.
Okay.
And I'll just say I Googled it and I happen to be reading off of Games Radar. I'll cite my sources here. But I have one for all three of us, and it's called Doom Eternal.
Oh, shit. That's this year?
Yep.
It's November.
Okay. I take it back. There's two games then that I care about after Link's Awakening. Very much looking forward to that. Like,
Some big ones dropping in the next 2 weeks.
are we going to do that 3-player thing in there? Bo, you want to go in there and do demon business together? Because that's a thing.
And what, Doom Eternal?
Yeah. It's a 3-player.
Oh, it has multiplayer in it, doesn't it?
Yeah, it's a 3-player thing. It was made for core.
Sure.
It was like they hate
Kristen
and Kyle, so they made it 3. That's what they did.
Harsh.
Yeah.
I think they have deathmatch still.
Oh, okay. Well, that'd be all right. I for one actually liked the weird multiplayer they had in the first one. I know it didn't go places and it was competing with Overwatch in a really bad way, so it was kind of a bad time for that. But I actually kind of thought it was cool, especially the builder stuff. I guess that's not in this new one, but yeah, we could all play that. That'd be cool. Both.
All right, I have another question. Unless you have more you want to say on Doom.
I don't know. I don't have more to say on Doom. I'm excited for it.
You liked Doom. You liked the Doom reboot, right? You were into it.
Oh yeah, no Doom. They did what a lot of game franchises should do: is get back, to revive them, get back to what made them originally good. And they, looked at the Doom formula, and they're just like, just keep it Doom. We don't have to have all this real life combat shooting simulator. Like, this is never what Doom was about.
Yeah, the story never needed to be more than there's a Doom guy and he's got to kill demons, and you can apply the rest.
He hates them so much, though.
Yeah, I can't
He
stand
just
him.
hates demons.
Yeah, but that last game 3 before this, they were trying to be all stories and characters and stuff, and I get it. I get that need and desire in 2003 when that came out to push in that direction. That made sense because that's where the industry was headed, and you were, up against the likes of Half-Life 2 and other stuff. Like, you had to go kind of narrative if you wanted to be part of the cool kids. But then this thing comes out in 2016 and reminds us all that no, sometimes you just need to blow shit up, and nothing else matters. So just do that. And we'll fill in the blanks. Like, they did such good action and such good setting and world construction that you could fill in all the blanks. You kind of got a sense for who he was immediately. The Doom guy gets up, freaking smashes stuff when he opens it, cocks his gun like a badass mother effer, and go, right? And that was enough. That's the rest of it filled into my head. All the world building I needed was in my imagination, and it was better than anything they could have written. So well done, guys.
I think in this one, it's not just going to be hell, but heaven. We're also going to kick the shit out of heaven.
Oh, it's great. Do you think Imperius will be there?
I hope that's what it is. Like, I know that they're building up lore because, and I don't like this. I think the game doesn't need lore. They are building up lore. Mm-hmm. But I hope it's just like really bare bones, and I hope it just involves Doom guy killing whatever. Hey, there's this new faction. Mm-hmm. Let's kill them. And that should be it.
I think they will, though.
I don't want to be fighting for heaven or anything.
Don't you think they will? Because part of the fun of that will be
Bethesda. They can't help themselves.
Yeah, but they give pretty wide berth to those whoever's left at id. They just let them kind of make what they want to make, I think. Or who's doing it? It's not id, is it?
I don't know.
Whoever it is.
It's id, but it's like Bethesda. Like
Bethesda.
At some point they looked at the relaunch of Doom and they said, let's not go nuts with the story.
Yeah.
So in theory they could say it again, but people do have a tendency to go, oh, sequel time, let's make it bigger and better and add this. And sometimes they lose the purity of the initial product. I think that's why they had to go back to the basics to begin with.
Yeah.
If it's just rationale for new monster types, I'm totally on board. But if it goes beyond that, then not gonna be a fan.
I feel confident. I feel confident in what they're gonna do.
I want to ask you guys.
Yeah.
Because we all like Star Wars.
We do.
Where do we land on Star Wars Jedi Fallen Order? Because that's also this year.
I land on need to see some reviews first from people I like and trust. I don't just mean like Metacritic score. I mean like some people who I know would know a good single player third person action game if they saw it and can tell me whether or not that'll be worth my time. So
don't care unless it's a 10, and even then it would be a tough sell.
Whoa, really? Even at a 10, even if
Star
they
Wars
said
games.
What if they told you, Bo, though? Hold on. What if they
That's great. I like
Seriously,
that
there's
that's Poe's
been, like-
reaction. It's completely writing off that you like Star Wars though, right?
Yeah, I
like,
enjoy the movies, sure.
It's an interesting take, right?
Yeah.
There's just lots of great games. I don't need a franchise game unless it's like they've done something magical.
Mm.
See, the problem right now with gaming is time, not money. For me, at this stage of my life,
Yeah.
I just don't have time for all the games. So unless it interests me or it's AAA and I can't miss because it pushes, there's some reason it's not miss. It's then pass.
Let me say let's say that game rolls up on your curb and says, "Yo, Bo Schwartz, come downstairs. Come here. You got to look at this." And you come downstairs and it says, "What I have for you here is the highest rated game of the year, the best game of the year by all accounts, the best Star Wars game ever made, and just a total game changer. Industry-wide, the whole thing's going to just shake everybody up because of this one game." Would you then? Was that enough of a sell for you? Okay.
Yeah, I mean, probably.
It just has to be the best thing ever, Scott, and then he'll try it.
Right, I get that, sure.
Well, it either has to interest me intrinsically or be the best thing ever. Otherwise, it's not going to make the cut.
Wow,
I still haven't finished The Witcher 3. I got plenty to do. Cyberpunk's coming in April 2020. Like my time is taken.
Yeah. I think that game is what gives me tunnel vision for the next year, and I forget that other things are coming out because it seems like
but think of the series, the run of. I mean, for me, the run of games I'm interested in. Next week it's Gears 5. Week after is Borderlands 3. Probably buy it on Epic.
Mm-hmm.
After that, I don't think Outer Wilds is going to interest me, to be honest with you. But Doom Eternal's coming, and then Cyberpunk, and there's probably some other stuff I'm not thinking of.
Yeah, you don't think Outer Worlds will do it for you, given I don't know,
just not enough. It it looks like it just looks like Fallout in a different setting, and I don't like Fallout, so
space Fallout.
I've played the opening of Fallout 3 like twice, and I'm just like, I just don't care about this game.
I like that Bo's statement was, "I just don't like Fallout," and Scott, your rebuttal was space Fallout, as if that was gonna really just turn things around for him.
Yeah, like what if I told you? Yeah, what if I told you that Fallout was in space? That doesn't do it. That doesn't sell you on it.
No, I mean, I always leave room for like something incredible to happen because you never know till the game comes out, like what it is about the game that you need to play.
Yeah.
So I mean, it's always possible, but like as presented thus far, for my time,
I understand.
If I had infinite time, I would play way more games than I do. But,
yeah, of course. Yeah, I think I think you said a really sort of prescient thing. It's not about money. It's about time, and there's so much of it. It's a flood. We live in an embarrassment of riches period in video games. Like straight up every day there's something new coming out somewhere. That didn't used to be the case. Back in the day, if you were in the 16-bit era and you're playing, Genesis, Super NES games, you were like, maybe once a month there was a game worth looking at, and you could beat that game in 5 hours or less, and you'd be waiting around for the next 6 months for another. Like, that's just what life was. That isn't what life is now. Like, today alone, I was tempted at least 8 different times on Steam for things that I hadn't even heard of until today, and I ended up settling on one that I'd played the demo for a month back or whatever it was, and that's the reason it jumped out and I grabbed it. I was talking to Bo about it earlier. We'll talk about it later in the show, but that's the world we live in. It's no longer you waiting around for Aladdin on the SNES. It just isn't that time anymore. So,
although that is coming out, so you could, in theory, right now be waiting around for Aladdin on the SNES to come out.
I forgot about that. They are remastering a thing and doing that somewhere on everything, I guess. Right? It'll just be everywhere.
Yeah.
I don't know if I want to play
that
that
on
again.
Everything. I played the Genesis version. The Genesis one was much better than the SNES version.
Was it? You and I were the same in that era. I was staunchly Sega. And they were
for a long time. Yeah. I mean, like, if you ask me to go back now and say, well, what's the best console that's ever been made? Super NES is a strong contender.
Mm-hmm.
I would put it above Genesis, but in the time, at the age, I was a Genesis.
Yeah. We bought into that Sega and freaking blast processing bullshit. We bought into it.
Yeah.
Well done, Sega.
Sega does what Nintendo don't, man.
Nintendo don't.
Oh,
That was real, right? Wasn't that a thing?
That was
Yeah.
real. That was a real marketing plan of theirs. That's great.
I hate it.
All right, I got one more.
All right, go.
And I don't know why, but I feel like it needs to be said as a possibility. Where's your interest at? Death Stranding.
Oh yeah, Death Stranding. That is actually coming out this year. Like I remember that was the big surprise at E3 that they actually said, yeah, it'll be this year, and everyone lost their minds. Like there's like no way this thing's that done. Oh man, I don't know. That feels like a wait and see game. Because I can't go spend.
You don't want to
60
climb rocks and pull out ladders and pee.
I
You're
can
not sold on this game.
I do one of those things fairly regularly, but
But what?
I mean, that's all I've seen, and hit people with a briefcase.
Yeah. I mean, doesn't that combo of things at least have you going, man, what the F is this? I have to see it for myself.
Quasi worried that it's just a cutscene simulator with some loosely stitched together travel.
Well, that wouldn't be unusual for Kojima production. He definitely knows how to do those. I mean, I don't know. That's one I have to hear first. Like just I got to hear impressions. I got to hear early reviews and then full game. I think I just need to wait on that one.
They're not selling it on the gameplay.
he rarely does though. Like that's the thing.
Yeah, but it's an established brand. Like people come in with an expectation like it's Metal Gear. I know what to expect.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
So if I don't see gameplay, I still know what Metal Gear is.
Mm-hmm.
I expect to probably have some sort of innovative thing that's weird and bizarre, but for the most part, it's sneaking and military combat and
Right.
wrestling characters. And,
Yep.
you kind of have an expectation, and I think in this case, I'm like, everyone's like, so is it Metal Gear but new IP or what is it?
Yeah.
All we've seen is him walking, peeing, and talking to Jeff Keighley, and like, I'm just like, this game does not. This looks like a 1. This game is a 1 on the game scale from what you've shown for a brand new game that you're trying to pitch us on. So he's basically selling it on his name.
Yeah,
Yep.
yeah, and,
So
and the
it
weird.
could
He's
go
selling
either
it on.
way.
It's selling it on the
Could be
weird.
10.
The weird is part of this, right? You can't deny the weird.
I'm
That's
100% with Bo. It's like most things with Kojima. It's a 1 when you take it at face value, and then somehow miraculously it turns into a different number when it comes out.
yeah,
Yeah.
It's weird.
yeah.
Wouldn't shock me to see 10s across the board, but it also would. I mean, it looks like a 1. Everything presented so far is like the word. Like apart from it looking graphically cool and being very narratively involving and evocative, the game side of things is a 1. Showing me a guy peeing and carrying a bunch of luggage across an open field, a game does not make.
It's not
Like
a
imagine
bad point.
Ubisoft did that, you'd be like, "Oh my god, get out of here!"
Yeah,
Get out
no,
of here.
you're not wrong. He does skate by on a lot of, people are expecting some weird, trippy thing from Kojima.
Sure.
Like that's the whole sales
I
pitch.
realize it's on brand, even though that's what I'm saying. If it wasn't him,
You're
it'd
right.
be like, check out the biggest embarrassment at E3 this year.
Yeah.
It's EA with a peeing simulator. That would be the headline.
I feel like
But a
you're.
big mushroom appears when you're done peeing. It's weird.
I feel like you're not wrong, and that's the stance I'm taking as well. But I may be blown away, and I am interested in weird. I like weird video games. I like them. I like them weird.
I'm sure there's going to be some interest. I'm just being sort of jokey. It's probably going to be pretty incredible.
Yeah, but who knows?
Probably.
What they're showing right now is what they always show. Like even Metal Gear demos before those games come out, it's always like, oh, he farted in a can. Oh, he is in a box for some reason. Like just all the things that Snake used to do. He's old and he's smoking for a long time. Like it was all weird then, and it's weird now. And I just don't think we know enough. And because they're holding back, it's like they only let little things out. Oh, he's got a ladder. Up, he took a pee. Blip, he's moving luggage.
What surprise celebrity do you think is in the game that they haven't shown us yet?
Oh my lord.
I don't know. I think that requires a level of restraint that I don't know if he has.
Is it
Like,
Dave Bautista?
he has restraint to keep things secret for sure.
Yeah.
But when it comes to look at my celebrity friends, he seems to be all about show all the celebrities all the time. Like, I just don't think that's a card Hideo can keep close to his vest.
Yeah, but what if you log into the game and the first NPC you meet is like, I don't know, Al Bundy?
Yep, well-known celebrity Al Bundy.
Al Bundy.
He's on.
Right
He's
there.
on. What's that show?
Yeah, but what's his real name is the thing. What's his real name?
Ed O'Neill.
Ed O'Neill. Yeah. I would love Ed O'Neill to be in this.
That'd
Are you
be great.
kidding?
Yeah, me too. That's why I was like trying to think of something awesome, but I'm like, I'd be happy to see Ed O'Neill go like Pag.
You unironically like Married with Children, don't you? You actually like that show, Bo.
I
Right?
like that show, but it has to do with the fact that it was on after Seinfeld,
Yeah.
where I used to watch it, and so
Yeah.
Seinfeld was on at 10 p.m. and then after it was Married with Children,
Yeah.
and so I just it coasted on the good graces of Seinfeld, which you're in a good mood after Seinfeld, so anything you watch after gets bonus.
I can see that. They all have an aura bonus from just being there, but
It's on different channels, but that was my routine.
sure, because there's Fox. But here's the thing about that show. I don't like any show that has. I'm okay with laugh tracks, especially for older shows, because that's just what we did. Laugh tracks are fine, but I can't deal with a show where it's a laugh track and people going "Ooh" all the time. Like when the audience does that, freaking
it's
hate it. Hate it.
It's a terrible show. It's a garbage show,
Yeah.
but it's soul food.
No, I get it.
Like the fact that they are so unabashedly at the time just wallowing in how pathetic not only Al's life is, but how despicable of a human being. He's got no redeeming qualities. They
No.
just lead completely into the fact that he's like mean to fat women
Yeah.
and then super nice to hot women that aren't his wife.
Yeah.
like they just lean so unabashedly into the, maybe you would say, the conservative side of not politically correct. I don't know. There's just something like really special. You know, his daughter's a dumb blonde jokes.
Right.
It's bad, but it's bad good.
Peg has big hair. I mean, my favorite thing that ever came out. My favorite thing that ever came out of that is she, went on to be on Futurama. She played.
She was great on Sons of Anarchy.
Yeah, she's great in everything. She's very good. But she was on Futurama, and they had a whole episode of Futurama where her character gets put into an Al Bundy situation with this one-eyed alien, and so her and this guy named Al were on this planet, and they just started to live like Married with Children, and they even had the whole horrible laugh track, and when something like he said, "Oh, well, you're just a piece of shit," or whatever, and the crowd goes, "Wee!" Like they totally made fun of it. That's the best thing to come out of that. Otherwise, can't do it. It's the same thing with Friends. Ross and Rachel make googly eyes at everybody, and somebody in the audience is going, "Wee!" Like, shut up, dude. It's fake. It's a comedy. Knock it off. Don't get all emotional about it. Have a normal laugh track, or don't have one at all, but cut down on the whole freaking peanut gallery full of people going, "Wee!" I hate it. Hate it.
Sounds like you're uncomfortable with a certain aspect of human emotion, Scott.
It's
Sometimes
because
people
it's
just
so
find things-
It's so artificial. That's why.
Let's unpack this.
So is the laugh track.
Well, I know
Your
it is.
argument doesn't.
No, I get it, but in those cases, some cases, there is a live audience there, and they are, when they're doing the 3-camera setup, like on Seinfeld, those are real laughs coming from real people. If they're in the car, they fake all that out. But like Married with Children also had a live audience, and most of that laughter is real, but the people that go, "Woo!" just need to be taken out and maybe shot or thrown in a ditch or something. That'd be fine. Well, that's kind of harsh,
Maybe
isn't
they
it?
were real. Maybe they told the audience to woo.
Well, but then that wouldn't be real.
But they probably did it
Well,
before the
it's a
recording
television
started.
show, Scott. None of it's real.
Wait, what? Now I don't know what to think. I don't know what to think now.
Anyway,
Anyway,
laugh tracks are an artifice, right? I mean,
yeah, totally. I mean, we did them.
But-
We did them. If you remember, I don't know if anyone remembers this, but the Flintstones had a laugh track. So did a bunch of other cartoons of that era. The Jetsons did, which was basically the Flintstones in space anyway. But it's what a dumb idea to think that people at home are somehow convinced that there's an audience watching the Flintstones live. Like, it's so bad. What were we doing? What were we thinking? Anyway, I didn't mean to take us down that road. The point was
No, but you're not wrong.
yeah. The main point was that Outer Worlds looks pretty good.
Oh yeah,
not even what put us on this topic, but
it was.
hey.
Sorry, I got to say who I thought would be the surprise celebrity in Death Stranding.
Death Stranding. That's what I was. We said it was going to be Al Bundy, right? Okay.
Next time we go down a rabbit hole, let's leave like a trail of crumbs or something so we can find our way back.
I think the new game show that we play here on Core should be once we go down a rabbit hole, we pause and we say, okay, now it's time to play. What does Scott think got us on this topic?
Yeah.
Back to you, Scott.
Back to me. Yeah.
Outer Worlds.
So who's the surprise celebrity in Death Stranding?
I'm going to say, who have I seen him on Instagram with recently?
I mean, it's Tom Hardy, right?
No.
You see Tom Hardy on Instagram, you follow him and look at his pictures.
No, was he hanging? He's not hanging out with Kojima. I don't follow him. He doesn't have Instagram, I don't think. I don't think Tom Hardy gives a shit, really. He doesn't care. He does not care. That guy's like, you know what? I'm just going to go. If he wants to, he'll go eat a handful of dirt and no one can stop him. He's just like, he doesn't need anybody. So he doesn't do Instagram. The guy doesn't need it.
Yeah.
No, I don't. There's nobody I want to be in it. I'm just trying to think who he would do it with. Like, maybe Jeff Keighley shows up, or maybe
He is in it. Jeff Keighley's confirmed in it.
What?
Yeah.
You didn't know that?
No.
He's in it.
Is there a screenshot?
Oh yeah, there's a whole video. This is the peeing video. It's the same video.
I didn't know that he was part of that.
You were so bored of the peeing video, you stopped watching it to the end.
You're not wrong. All right, hold on. I need to see that.
Did you watch the video that introduced the character of Big Mama or whatever her name is? I don't remember if that's her name. Something Mama.
Wait.
Big Mama? Is that real?
There's a character in that game that's.
Are you saying Tyler Perry's in Death Stranding?
I don't. Maybe he could be. What's her name? There's a lady in there, and they did a character video, like how they did with Heartman, explaining a bit about his character.
I think it's just Mama. I think it's just Mama.
Oh, is it just Mama?
I think so.
Okay.
Anyway, I want to see Scott watch that video and stream it and react to it because I think it will just freak him out.
What if it's Christian Haydenson that's in it?
Christian Hayden?
What?
Did you call him Christian Haydenson? Is that what you called him?
Yeah, what Anakin?
Are you talking about Anakin?
Yeah.
It's not Christian Haydenson. It's
Hayden
Christensen there.
That's close. Close enough.
Oh, that's freaking funny. All right, I'm trying to find the Keeley thing.
Is it really Hayden Christensen?
It is, yeah. It was never Christian Haydenson.
He's always just Anakin in my heart.
But the way you said it was so weird. I thought you were right for a second. For a hot second, I'm like, oh, maybe. Wait, Bo's right. Okay, there's this scene. I'm looking at what's his name from Walking Dead. He's got the baby bulge in his front, and he's doing some floaty thing with his keys or something. Okay, now what? Critical Network car. I don't see Jeff Keighley in this. Oh, wait, there he is.
That didn't take long.
Oh, that's weird. All right. Well, I didn't see this video somehow. I don't know why I didn't see this one. But I
think the big mistake that Hideo, what is the name? Hideo Kojima?
Christian Haydenson. Say it with
Christian
me.
Haydenson.
I think the big mistake he's made is making a horror Death Stranding game. He should have just made a taking photos with my celebrities friends game.
Yeah.
Well, like Pokemon Snap or something like that, where you just
you pose
celebrities coming out of bushes. You throw food at them. They're like,
you pose the celebrities and you take screenshots and you use the screenshots and make screensavers and wallpapers with.
I think you've
share them on social media.
You've struck gold. You've struck gold. It's a brilliant idea.
It could be because Bo talked about Seinfeld, but I think Larry David should be in the game.
Yeah.
As an unlockable commentary track where he just tries to figure out what's going on in Death Stranding and talks about what he thinks is going on.
No, I think it should be the B mission like Resident Evil 2. After you defeat the game with Sam Reedus, then you have to play it as Larry David.
Wait, who's Sam
Reedus?
Reedus?
Carrying stuff on his back.
There's no Sam Reedus.
He's like, why do I have a baby for?
How come you called him?
Put the baby away. I don't want the baby on me.
You called him Sam Reedus just now. His name
Norman Reedus.
Norman. Thank you. You called him
Why you all
Sam.
over my business about names?
I don't know, but it's
Name
cracking me
master?
up. I'm loving it. It's really good. Very Wild Berry in the chat. Oh, they're asking how Jeff Kanata's eye is. He's doing better. He had bad surgery, gnarly surgery, good surgery, but I don't know. I didn't mean to go that direction. I thought they were asking something about the game. Anyway, who knows? That game, Death Stranding, could be the weirdest damn thing we've ever seen. We don't know. We don't know what to expect.
So any other games you're excited for that, it's just like, oh my god, this season's so packed?
I mean, I am a little excited about the oh wait, when is what's it called? The Ubisoft game. You can be anybody.
Watch Dogs Legion.
3 Legion. Yeah, when's
I think
that?
that's next year, actually.
Okay, so I don't have that wrong in my head. I thought that was next year as well. All right, so there's that, but they do have that other game coming out in October, a follow-up to Wildlands called... I really liked Wildlands a lot, so I have high hopes for the thing I can't remember the name of. But that's...
The one with the Punisher in it.
The one with the Punisher in it, with the big ears, the one that needs extra trailers for his 2 ears. He was also on Walking Dead with Sam Reedus. I can't think of the damn game. It's called... Tom Clancy's Ghost Recon.
Ghostlands?
Ghostlands?
No. You're talking
maybe.
about Wild Frontier?
No. Wild Frontier. No.
You're talking about the open world Tom Clancy thing,
Yeah,
right?
yeah. The one that follow up to Wildlands, which was awesome. It's whatever the new one is. Chat room's probably saying it. I'm missing it. Breakpoint. That's it. Breakpoint. That comes out in October, and I am actually very excited about that. In fact, I think the beta may have started today for those people. So hopefully that worked out. All right. Any others? John, you think of anything else? I mean, we don't have the list in front of us.
I mean, yeah, there's a few others that are getting a little niche, but that I'm definitely kind of following. There's a game called GTFO, which I just heard Kyle talking about not too long ago, which is kind of a spiritual successor to Left 4 Dead. So that immediately intrigues me to a degree.
GTFO is like get the F out. Is that the idea?
I think that's it.
All right.
I think that's what it is. There's also Phoenix Point, which is an XCOM style strategy game that I'm always down for more XCOM type games. So I'd say those two for me, I'm going to keep my eye on, but honestly, nothing else that I'm really super looking forward to. There's nothing else on my radar beyond Doom that's just like, oh, I am definitely buying that the second it comes out.
Did you play that Eden? What's it called? Something Eden? Mutant? New Eden?
Oh, I know what you're talking about. Where it's a bunch of like animals and stuff.
You should play that. It's XCOM-y as hell. Is the main gameplay grip there, but the animal stuff seems kind of dumb on the surface. Like, why are they, like, this is weird. Why are the animals? The way that thing plays out story-wise is awesome. It's really cool. It's not just goofy. It's not meant to be goofy. It's like a serious look at what would happen if huge mutations happened and suddenly animal life were a lot more human and a lot more intelligent. It's great. Yeah. You should play that game.
I am interested.
Yeah.
I've got one more for the honorable mention list.
All right.
One more.
Yeah.
Sure.
Vampire the Masquerade, Bloodlines 2.
Oh, yeah. That's soon, too.
It's not till March 2020, but
yeah,
that one's on the list, too.
And give me the lowdown there. I don't even know what the first one was. What are these games like?
I didn't. I sort of missed out on it. It's Vampire the Masquerade. I think this is one of those games that is I guess a legendary game. A lot of people played it. People who played it rave about it. Classic game, if you will. Where you become a vampire and you got to deal with vampire stuff. But it's a role-playing game.
It's based on a tabletop game, right? Or I have that wrong?
I think so.
Yeah,
I think
Okay.
so.
It is.
But it's definitely got the role-playing game in spades. So it was less so an adventure game and more like probably like Skyrim or Fallout or whatever. But just you're in some urban setting. Meeting with various vampire factions, doing vampire stuff.
I do like that, and maybe I did play the first one. It's old, right? Like it's an old game.
Yeah, like I missed it. I didn't play it, but you hear about it constantly, and everything you hear about it sounds really cool, and it's just too old for me to kind of really work up a will to do it. But the trailer. I've been watching the gameplay trailer for it, and it looks pretty incredible.
Because
I want to say
Yeah.
it was like one of the first Unreal 2 engine games. Like that was one of its claims to fame. Like, oh, you want to preview what the Unreal 2 engine can do?
Mhm.
Vampire the Masquerade uses it. I could be wrong on which one, but
it was called
was something
Bloodlines,
like
right? Bloodlines, yeah.
Yeah,
2004.
Yeah. Vampire the Masquerade Bloodlines.
There it is. I did play this. It was super janky though, and I think part of it was my PC sucked in 04, but I have some memories of this thing being weird and buggy, but kind of cool too. Yeah, there it is.
Yeah, I think
November.
it was janky, but I think like people liked it enough to move past that kind of thing. There's a lot of good underneath it all. Yeah, I mean, it sounds awesome. I'm normally not big on the vampire stuff, but I like a good RPG.
Yeah, I do too. I mean, I don't mind vampire stuff when it's done well. Like, I just, it can't be like freaking, what's the stupid thing that everyone liked for a while there? Twilight, like that kind of garbage. I don't want that. I want cool vampires. I like Underworld.
what if it's fancy vampires?
Well, depends on how fancy. Like, Underworld is cool and has some fancy vampires in it.
What about Tom Cruise and Brad Pitt fancy?
Hate the Interview with a Vampire. Hate it. Too fancy. Just always fluttering their eyes in the camera, looking all sexy boy 1800s. Like, F that. Not into it. Was not my thing at all. And I hated Twilight. The two best vampire movies ever made is What We Do in the Shadows.
Accurate.
2015, second best film of that year. I don't have to tell you what the first was. And then maybe that's it. I kind of like Underworld 1. I had fun with that. But mostly because it was...
watch the What We Do in the Shadows TV show.
Oh, Lost Boys is good. Yeah, I will. Fully plan to. Been putting that off forever for no good reason. So I need to do that because I hear it's great. I hear it just it absolutely lives up to the movie in every way, and that makes me very happy. Yeah. All right.
I thought there was a good one. I was really young when I saw it, but Frank Langella was in it.
I like him. What was the movie?
He was in a vampire. Hang on, let me look it up.
Frank.
It's like an 80s movie.
Where did you land on Buffy, Scott?
The movie was awful. The TV show was pretty bad at first, but I glommed on later, and by the end, I was all in. And I read the comic 6th season thing as well. I loved it. So yeah, that stuff's cool. But see, that was different. They could have just been demons or something, like the vampire part of it was kind of sidelined. It didn't really matter. What mattered was her just kicking ass and stuff, and that was great. I mean, that was just a great structure, and his dialogue made a big difference in that. So I liked it a lot. But the movie was bad.
He's saying he played Dracula, but it's not that one. He was in another one.
Frank Langella vampire movie.
He was Dracula in one movie, but there's another one.
Oh yeah, in '79 he was Dracula. Let's see, vampire.
Yeah, that's really old.
It's not the one, huh?
From Dusk Till Dawn. No, there was another one. Maybe it wasn't a vampire movie. He was great in Ninth Gate. God, I love the Ninth Gate. That's one of the best movies of all time.
I don't know what that is. How old's that?
That's 1999. It's a well, if you're into Roman Polanski joints, it's that. But basically, Johnny Depp is a bookseller of rare books.
Oh, right.
And he's looking for a really rare book. It's just like about books, and it's kind of creepy. I don't know. It's just super cool. I love the Ninth Gate. I wish Roman Polanski would make more like horror, like just more supernaturally movies like that. He does a lot of World War II and weird shit, but that movie was incredible.
I remember thinking Frank Langella was
Weird
great.
ending.
He was great in Star Trek Deep Space Nine as Minister Jarrow. He was a bumpy-nosed Bajoran dude.
Maybe it wasn't Frank Langella.
I don't know. We could go down that rabbit hole for a while, but
yeah, sorry.
No, it's all good. He's great though. I mean, that's the big point here is Frank Langella is great, and people should watch him do things because he's great.
Yeah,
he was He-Man, or he was Skeletor in the He-Man and the Masters of the Universe movie. By the way, I don't know if you knew that.
I mean, honestly, this was the point we brought this all up to.
I know that's where we were gonna go. Oh my gosh, I had so much fun with that. We did a film sack for Nerdtacular that year that we did that movie. It was like 2013 or something, and that was made a billion times more fun because Frank Langella hammed it up as Skeletor. All right. Well, those are the games we're excited about. We hope you are too. Now this. Been playing a whole lot of World of Warcraft. Not Classic. Standard. Classic turned out to be one of the weirdest things to ever happen to me. And a lot of people are saying that from the perspective of it got me back into WoW and I'm playing WoW again and I love Classic. It's like 2004, never left, blah, 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 all that stuff. Not for me. It did this weird thing, and I've heard from others it's doing it to them too. But it made me want to play the fundamentals of the game again, but not in Classic, if that makes any sense. It pushed me to start new characters. I talked about this last week, so I won't go over all that again. But aside from those new characters that I have been playing pretty consistently, I also have been going back to my main and actually grinding out rep, like working toward flying in BFA, working toward achievements I never thought I'd care about, getting better gear.
That's crazy.
I agree.
That's a thing that you universally hated. So let me ask you this, because I want to find out. I want to solve this mystery.
Please, it's a riddle to me too. Go.
Do you think when you looked at Classic,
yeah,
and you saw how much longer it took to do things and the slower pacing, and you're hearing all these people talk about, oh, it's slower pacing and there's no rush and there's no pressure, do you think that kind of put your mind in that place and now you're playing it without this feeling of, oh, I need to keep up with the Joneses as far as my gear, and I'm just going to go in slow paced and just work on things and no rush, I'm going to just enjoy it and have fun with the ride? Like, do you think it put you in that mindset?
Yeah.
Or do you think it just made you so hungry for WoW that you'll do whatever they want?
No, I think it's the first thing, more that than the other. Now, what I think is the smartest people at Blizzard already knew that this was going to be the outcome. There are three outcomes. One is old players come back who haven't been forever, and now they're playing Classic. You've got them. There's your $15 a month. And I don't mean this in like a pejorative. Like, this is just part of getting people playing WoW again. It's a good thing. They got that. Second phase was people who aren't thrilled with the current state of the game and want this distraction for a little while. There are plenty of players like that. And third faction are people like me who just needed a perspective adjustment, because that's what it felt like I got. I felt like what happened is I played Classic for 3.5 hours and I went, oh, you know what? The current game is pretty good. Like, I saw it more as like, look at this relic of a thing. And I don't mean that in a bad way. People are loving it, and I think that's awesome. I have to keep making that clear because people misread me on this all the time. I think it's amazing that it even exists and that they did it, and it's great. But it like gave me the full roadmap, and I went, oh, this is where it started. I now know where that particular aspect or that mechanic or that thing ends. I know where it gets, how it evolves and where it is today. And I started to appreciate that more. And I started to realize they were always the best MMO. They were the best then, they were the best in the interim, and they're the best now. And as much as I respect and like other MMOs here and there, they still are the best at what they do. And now we have this example of they were the best at a thing 15 years ago. And it's obvious that that's still better than most newer MMOs still don't really compete well with even Classic in terms of its draw, right?
Yeah.
And then it just kept me thinking about all of the evolution toward the modern game and all the things I liked that they changed and tweaked and did, and how much stuff is in there. Even some simple, silly things like transmogrification is such an awesome implementation in that game. And I feel like I just never appreciated it. It just always sort of came out and you're like, okay, here's a feature, that's cool. But I lost my perspective at some point. Somehow Classic comes in here and has fixed my perspective. And it's just made me flip around on all of it. I'm appreciating the content that's new more. I'm driving around in my car, I'm on my mount in I forgot the name of the damn new zone with all the water's all gone now. What's it called? Nashantar. I'm driving around in there. I'm Nash Magard. I'm driving around in there and I'm doing my dailies and doing stuff and whatever, doing quests, couple of elite, giant raid type world boss stuff and all those things. And I'm just looking at it through new eyes. It's like, look at this amazing architecture we have now. look how well this all integrates. Look how great these storylines and these quest lines all lead to this main story and take me down a path where I can kind of choose what I want to do. Like, I just appreciate all of it more. And I appreciate the old thing more. I appreciate the interim more. And I appreciate where we're at today more than ever. It's a mindset thing. And I swear it's just because Classic happened. And I was just like jolted into this memory of looking at the map, pulling out a little bit and looking at the map and realizing, I'll give you an example, John. Here, maybe this helps answer your question. If you'd asked me 3 years ago, 2 years ago, whatever, hey, Scott, you should start a level 1 character in the game and just make him. And I would have said, that's insane. I'll boost one. Let's boost one because we want to get to the end game. Got to get to the end game. Got to get to where all the cool kids are, like you always say. And I wouldn't have done it. This time I'm doing it. And why am I doing it? Because I realized all that stuff is still there. And it's all really good. And I actually really like how they do the leveling now so that I can go to anywhere I want that's like between 30 and 60. And that's all over the place in Azeroth. I can kind of choose where I want to go because a lot of that stuff scales now. Not all of it, but, pieces and parts of it. And then when I'm done there, I can choose between Pandaria and Cataclysm zones and go back and forth if I want and, decide which I'd rather spend time in. I can then go to... I can't wait to get up to Northrend again. I just want to get up there. Like, I'm having just the weirdest good time remembering that, there's an RPG here. It was always here. It's always here. This rush to be current level it doesn't matter. And maybe right now it matters even less because I have tons of friends playing Classic, tons of friends playing Modern, and lots of in between. And who cares what I do? I'm just going to do what I want to do. Like, I don't know. It's hard to explain. It's a really weird thing. It's one of the weirdest gaming things of my life. To be honest, this last couple of weeks has been really strange. Ask me in 6 months how I feel. Maybe it'll be different. But right now, I don't know, man. Like, I was in Stranglethorn Vale for hours yesterday with my warrior, and there's some things they changed there. I guess during Cataclysm they streamlined a bunch of it, and there are better quests there as a result. But there's also still a bunch of shitty stuff. Like, you're still working for the Hunters Guild, whatever, and they want you to find a bunch of stealth panthers in the middle of nowhere, in the middle of the jungle. They're impossible to see because you can't even see their outline. There's so much stuff going on. And when you see them, they're already all over you, and there's 5 of them, and suddenly you're dead. Like, you're actually still kind of dying from stuff early game, despite what people think. They think the game's nothing but a big theme park now, and I disagree. Like, there's RPG happening. And I really like that. And I like that. It's like I'm recognizing, or I'm seeing the thousands of hours of really talented people, how that coagulates over time. And it's just been fascinating. I had a chat with Metzen for a while about the differences between the two. And, he agreed they're just, these are just two different animals, but they both represent a different kind of, time has passed for one and the other one hasn't. And I don't know. I just feel like my perspective has shifted. So I'm probably repeating myself at this point, but, and if I seem excited about it, it's because I am. Like, it's rejuvenating to be this stoked about the game in all of its forms and for everyone who wants to play it. Like, even if Blizzard didn't know this was going to happen, then this is a really happy accident for them. I have a feeling they knew, though. Just because they're smart about this.
Do you know on what scale it is? Because that's your feeling. My experience has been different.
I mean, I don't know. Like, it's going to be different for everybody, obviously. But I got a lot. So I talked about this pretty in depth on the instance and then here and other places. And I've gotten a fair amount of email, tweet type DMs sort of things with feedback saying a whole lot of things. Some people just loving Classic or whatever. But a fair amount of people are like, this exact thing happened to me. This exact thing. Like, what you described on the show was freaking me out because I went through the same thing and thought I was crazy. And so there are plenty of people who are in that third tier like me, who have been drawn to the game at large when they were kind of at a down point. And I didn't think anything but a new expansion announcement would get me excited, to be honest. But this all has happened like organically, and if anything, it's not it's not like hype is driving me there. I'm not just having FOMO because the FOMO's happening with Classic. You all are playing it. Everyone's having FOMO and playing it. I'm not. I'm saying, okay, well, have your FOMO. I'm going to go do these other things that I kind of forgot about and want to go appreciate again. It's weird.
Outside of LFD, how much grouping are you doing?
Did a little bit of. I grouped with a dude who was just out doing quests, and he and I went for probably 2 hours with my in the Stranglethorn stuff yesterday. It was just some random dude that was out there doing stuff. I said, "You want to group up?" I said, "Sure." And we just hung out. I friended him. I don't know if anything will come of it, but most of what I'm doing is solo. But that's how do I put this? Outside of raiding and dungeons with friends and stuff and guild things, which I guess is, that's a huge part of the social, but the game itself, one of the reasons I loved it in the beginning was that it was so soloable in the first place. I didn't have to rely on a bunch of people to get something done. If I wanted to just play, I could. There's plenty to do in WoW, even in Classic, where you don't have to group. And, I mean, I basically soloed GURP through that whole probably level 20 to level 60 game.
I don't know. There's stuff in there you have to group for.
Oh, there definitely is. There's definitely group quests and stuff like that, no doubt. But I would just skip
Not
those.
even group quests, just hard ones. The freaking ignition quest in the Barrens. I don't know if you remember that.
I do remember that. What I would do in those cases, I remember pretty well. I would just let them go green and then come back and do them, or I'd let them go. Was it green? Yeah, green meant they were just easier. You'd leveled past them or whatever. And by the way, that quest that's still there for that is still hard. Like in the
I
modern
did
game.
it. I mean, I grouped up with people kept joining in, and we ended up grouping up with 4 different strangers and overcame it. Like, the kind of nice thing about the Classic experience right now is that there are a lot of people in the zones where you're leveling. So as soon as something like I saw a giant spider kill a troll yesterday, and I tried to run towards them to first aid them with a bandage.
Yeah.
And they died. So I sent them a tell and I said, "Hey, you want to group up? It looks like it's too hard for you." We grouped up, we beat it.
Yep.
I think I've been in like 30 or 40 different parties over the course of the weekend, just grouping up to do content. It's been really exciting.
Yeah. And
I don't think I've grouped up that much ever in vanilla in the retail.
Well, when I was playing vanilla in BC, that was pretty constant. But even then, like I never, when you'd max out either 60 in the vanilla game or 70 in the next expansion or whatever, I've yet to hit that cap with anyone near me. It's always just me. So I'll be in the middle of some jungle, ding, 70. Screen cap it, tell everybody I did it, but it was never with anybody. So I'm willing to say, I guess what I'm saying is I'm kind of an outlier how I approach these games. I kind of approach them, a lot of it anyway, as a single player RPG. And I think that there's probably a lot of us, or else I don't know why Blizzard would have evolved the game in that direction to start with.
No, I'm the same way. I don't group with people. When I played original Classic back in the day, I would maybe grab a group if I happen to see people in the area. I think my cool guy move that I used to pull back in the day is I'd go, "Oh, I'm too low of a level to do a thing," and I'd kind of hang out in the area, and then I'd see a group of people like also hanging out in the area, and then I'd be like, "Oh, you guys want to group for this? Okay, sure." And then I'd get in a group real quick and do it, and then I'd immediately drop group and be like, "Bye, thanks," and off back to soloing. That's always how I played, or I would go back and do it when I could solo it. I don't like grouping in MMOs, and I understand that defeats a huge part of the MMO, but I just don't. That's not what I play it for. I like playing a game in a world that has other characters, that has, other people available to talk to, available to work with, should you choose to do it. But my personal choice is to not. So that's always how I have played those games. So I don't think you're necessarily alone in that. It's the way I like to play that particular genre of game.
There's definitely, on some level, a reason you would even choose to play WoW, even if you just soloed the entire time, over any number of single-player RPGs where a social dynamic does not exist.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
Of course.
So even though you're like, I never group with anyone, it still matters to you that there is a social dynamic to the game.
Yeah.
And it's just that you get to be like, well, I'm here, but I don't group with you.
Yeah, and
Yeah, I get to actively reject the social element, but I'm glad that it's there.
yeah, and you can see how people are stoked about this stuff, not forcing them, but putting them in a position where they need to be working with more people to get things done in an efficient way. I think that's great. I'd love that, but I'm more like John's playstyle. I don't care.
It also leads to these dynamic moments. Like I like to play solo, and I got in the other day, and Bo was playing, and he was streaming, and I was streaming, and Bo's like, "Where are you? I'm coming to see you." And I was like, "I don't know, man. I play this solo."
I know he was.
Bo,
I could read that from you. I'm
Bo's
like, we're playing an MMO. Let's play together.
I was like so excited, and I'm like, clearly played Alliance, like obviously, and because no self-respecting horde groups this much, and so, but he's like, come on.
There's tons of hordes that group.
he's like, come on, and so I was like, all right, sure, come over. We'll figure something out. So he comes over. And at first there was kind of an element of like, I don't know, are we working on quests together? I'm getting like no XP for this and all of that. And then finally Bo was like, what if I also rolled a rogue? I was like, okay. And so then we started running around as two rogues. And then by the time he got backstabbed, we got our sweet plays, which was he would sneak up behind something, do backstab. They would turn like, hey, I would backstab them again. They'd turn around and face me like, oh, now you're backstabbing me. And then Bo would backstab him again. And it would kill just about anything we fought. And we found it incredibly hilarious just to go up to things and go stab, 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 and just have it die. And we spent several hours just running around as two rogues stabbing the hell out of everything. And it was super fun. And that's the thing, is if it wasn't a game that gave the ability to have those moments, you wouldn't be able, like me being a curmudgeon about solo, like I would miss out on that. Mm-hmm. So that's why even if I don't typically group with people, I'm grateful it's there, because when you think about the moments from the game that you love, frequently it's moments that are based around other people.
Oh yeah.
Maybe Scott, you can come play WoW Classic with us just to play a rogue, so we can go to a PvP server, and we're just gonna ruin other people's experience. Like, we won't attack anyone higher level than us. They have to be much lower level, as low level as possible.
Yeah.
And just hunt
preferably
them.
one.
Yeah. And we just we'll always outnumber them.
Zone.
We'll outnumber them, outlevel them. We'll just make their lives hell. We'll make them wish they never picked a PvP server. I see what you're saying. Yeah, that's a possibility.
I mean, we could do that in retail, I think, but I don't know. Everyone's like super OP in retail.
You can totally do it in retail. All this talk of how OP everything is, it's definitely more like
they'll have their heirloom gear on.
No, that's true. That's true. But that's all true. But these are all things everyone asked for. Like, it's not like these were things that Blizzard said, "Wow, we're sticking these in there, whether you like it or not." No, these were big requested features. And they added them and added them and added them. And I think what they have done is made one hell of a evolving MMO over the years. And I think it's a really strong product, regardless of.
Yeah, I got the opposite take. I don't know if you want to give some room for that one.
Go for it. It's totally fine with me. I get that is
Classic confirms that there are things that they've done that have ruined the game for me. That I enjoy Classic way more because there's no achievement list. I have lots of weird abilities that are inconsequential but fun. Like, there's lots of stuff in there. The fact that, you know how they walked back flying because they wanted to explore the world?
Yeah.
Walking is even better. I have such an intimate connection with the zones that I'm in because it takes forever to get anywhere that I'm like, this is great. Like, it sucks, but it's also great.
It's
and
great
like
to
there
a
are
point.
Innovations from modern, like I want the combat animations, please, and updated graphics for sure.
Yeah.
And there's some stuff we could fix about questing that I'm using Questy. I think they can mark some quest locations. That seems okay. Like, there's stuff I would accept from retail, but there's just so much that I dislike about retail that I'm enjoying Classic because it isn't retail. Because I played BFA. And I was all in on playing, and I got to 110, and I'm like, I'm out. It's boring. And it isn't because BFA is a bad expansion, because I didn't play it long enough to have that opinion.
Wait a minute. You mean 120? Did you get to 120?
120, yeah.
Okay,
Whatever the
okay.
max level was,
Yeah.
I like did 2 zones. I'm at 120. I'm like, I guess I'm out. Like the fact that the journey is over so quickly and that there's assumption that I want to stick around for end game related activities is not for me. So when I see a 0 to 60 journey that's going to take a long time, I'm kind of excited about it.
Yeah.
I don't have heirloom gear to boost me around, and getting things done isn't easy, and it's going to require me to be social in order to feel a sense of accomplishment. And I'm just getting all of these positive experiences because if I want to play solo, there's plenty of I can go play Witcher. Like I don't need to log into any MMO and not play with people, because then for me, there's no point in playing a game that is inherently designed to be social and multiplayer. If I'm not gonna do that, I guess is
Yeah, but I would argue. Okay, so 2 things. I would argue.
It doesn't mean you can't play alone.
No. I know that, but there's 2 things to that I just want to make a comment about. One is when WoW came out in 2004, one of its biggest changes, and the reason the rest of the world called it the Care Bear MMO at the time, was because in every other MMO, you couldn't solo anything ever as anybody. It just didn't happen. If you played EverQuest, you group or you didn't. There weren't quests really.
Final Fantasy 11 was like that. After
all of them were like that. They were all a huge pain in the ass that way, and they really forced you to be in groups. Like that was the MMO sauce. Blizzard comes along and says, we like to go this other way a little bit, and it changed everything. Like that's how all MMOs are made now, and I don't think that you're wrong to have that feeling about it. But what I'm saying is, I'm old enough to remember when they were already calling it the Care Bear MMO, that things were going to be way too easy. Death didn't mean anything. You just had to run to your corpse, big deal. Like there was a lot of people complaining about that stuff. Now, it's easy in retrospect to go, okay, well, the old game's now the hard game, and that's the more challenging thing. And it is. There's no question about any of that. But the other thing I would say is, WoW doesn't feel... When I get into play retail right now, I'm not playing the way that you describe, which is get BFA, do 2 zones, I'm 120, now what? I guess I'm out. That's what's changed. Like I literally started a character from number 1, and I'm taking him to level 20 or 32 now, I guess he is. And I've got a daunting world ahead of me. I got to get to 120 at some point. Like that's the journey that dude's taken. And I'm just enjoying the loop of it. Like I'm just enjoying how all of that feels.
Yeah, but once you get to 60, as I've done this a number of times, you do like 5% of each of the expansions. So you go into Azuna and get your 10 levels and then move on. Like after you've done with 60, you're going to step into Burning Crusade, do Hellfire Peninsula's Anger Marsh, and then it's going to be time for the Tundra over in Wrath. And then once you're done with Tundra and maybe Dragonblight, it's off to what was next? Cataclysm.
It's all different now, though. You can go anywhere.
But you're not gonna go to Burning Crusade and complete Burning Crusade content before moving on to Wrath.
Oh no,
right?
But I'm not going there. I'm not going there at all.
In theory, you actually could, because I think they have it to where you can pick between 2 expansions.
Yeah, you choose now, so you can go anywhere. I'm like, if after this one, I'm going to Pandaria.
I mean, that's what I don't like. Like that, there's a lack of verisimilitude in this idea that it's a world that I'm adventuring through when it's just like hodgepodge. And I get that it's convenient, and I personally don't find that very rewarding to just be like step in, get my levels. Like I've
totally get your point, but
satisfying.
But let me get to where I was getting with this. When you're done and you hit 60 with vanilla, then what? You're either on to that next path that takes us where we are today, or Blizzard decides we're going to add endgame to this thing, or they do the thing that most people think they're going to do, which is it just exists as a thing. Classic is 1 to 60.
Then I'm probably done. Like again, this is down to personal taste and not like some objective opinion, I suppose. But like, I don't want to play. Controversial opinion. Send your emails to me. Don't address them to Scott. I think endgame is overrated and not a reason to play any game. Like when we're playing Dungeons and Dragons, we get to 20, there might be a little bit left after that, but the game's done. We'll probably roll new characters. Like there's no reason for me to like want to be level 60 and keep playing the game. I get that they put activities in there, but I think because expansions are so small, 10 levels, that we've cultivated a culture of, yeah, get my 10 levels in like 3 days, and then the real game starts. And I'm like, I'd like it if you put another 60 levels in Burning Crusade and give me a world to explore and journey. But that's me. So the reason I'm enjoying Classic is because I figure if I keep playing, it still keeps getting fun. Once I get to 60, maybe I'll raid a few weeks, but I usually am gone. In-game is not interesting to me.
It's not as interesting to me either. The journey is more important to me. I guess I would just say that there, as nice as Classic is, as it slowed everything down for everybody, there are still people that are just chomping on the bit to get to freaking Molten Core, and that's all they care about doing. Like they're not, they're not enjoying it.
The journey's the reward, folks, and it's all down to personal taste. But for me, it's not the destination. It's not finally I can get to end level and be where all the cool kids are. It's like where you are in the Barrens, looking for Mankirk's wife, is the greatest moment you'll have playing World of Warcraft, and it all is down. That journey, doing whatever it is you're doing. That's where the beauty of playing an MMO is, in the journey. I don't know. That's very esoteric.
In the hut.
Yeah,
but it's also a game that is supposed to be a living, breathing game as a service that has to go on for. We're now at 15 years. Of course, these things were going to change. People begged for these changes. They wanted all this stuff. And you know what? Once you get so big, you get 120 levels of this game, they needed to go back and look at all the old content and say, all right, well, what is that? We need to make that make sense so that people who do want to start at one can have a path, and they know the path, and they know where to go, and they can have some choice. Like, all of those things are things people raved about in the audience when people announced it. Like, I just don't buy this thing that in light of Classic, everything else they've ever done is crap and they've ruined it. Like, I can't
say that. They know their business better than they know what's good for their business better than I do. But I know what I like. And I think that Classic is strong. I think they rode on that good success with Burning Crusade and Wrath of the Lich King, and I think now we're just business as usual. And the art and the content and the story's inspired, but what we're offering is not. and we're offering the game trappings of like the 2010s, basically, of this decade. And not of what we thought of, games as a service. Got to keep people on the treadmill. Got to keep people interested in wanting to raid. Instead of releasing the raid all at once, let's release a raid a week. That I hate that so much. I'm playing your game when I'm playing your game. I'm not playing your game on your schedule. I hate the release of raid wings. They should release the whole game in a couple of patches, and that's it. Don't nickel. Don't drop little pieces of content every week. I dislike that.
I know you don't like time gating. Nobody does. But also, I think there are design challenges, and there's reasons why they have to time gate, like just so people don't.
Well, they could just delay the raid for the whole 6 weeks and just push it all out.
That'd go over.
I mean, the problem too with MMOs is a company wants to provide stellar service, so wants to launch things correctly. But we as players love when things don't work correctly. They make for great stories. So I don't feel sorry for them. Some of the best things about WoW culture and WoW memes have to do with the game breaking. And trying to wash all of that away is misguided. But it's in the nature of a company to do it, so we can't really fault them for it either.
I'm curious what you would say they would have to wash away, though. Like what?
Well, if they're time gating things because they need to test it, or because that's necessary for the development of such a massive.
I think they're doing it just so people don't burn through everything in the first week. I think that's why.
Yeah,
see, that's the funny thing to me, is I think Bo's right. Time gating sucks.
Who are they to tell me when to play their game?
The answer for me is to tell them, don't time gate things. If people burn that content in 2 days, they burn that content in 2 days. That's their fault. That's their problem. Now, Blizzard as a company comes in and says, yeah, but then they unsub and we don't make money. It's not my problem to make sure that you make money. So me as a player that wants to have a good time doesn't really give a shit that you aren't making money off of that model. I want you to put out a game that I enjoy.
Yeah, but what I don't
enjoy is being told, here's your content. Now you can only get this much of it. Like
Suramar? Oh my god. Like so mad.
Suramar is ridiculous. The entire island in Legion, like people rave about Legion, but the gated questing in Legion, especially when you go to the island, is atrocious. Now, I'm probably honestly between the two of you. I think there's a ton of great stuff in the current version of WoW. And I think there's actually a ton of great stuff that they could learn from Classic, because I do think Classic was, something special. And I think if you take Battle for Azeroth and you gauge its place and its power and its importance in the cultural zeitgeist, like it's fallen so significantly from what WoW was at the time. Like that's the nature of how things have gone and how things have gone.
Yeah,
with that
but
game.
everybody and their dog said Legion was their favorite expansion. That was the one right before this one. Yeah, this one's got issues, no question. I won't deny that at all. But this idea that I remember people saying the exact same thing when Warlords was out, and suddenly everybody was like, "Oh, it was so good in Pandaria. What happened? What happened?" Well, that happened. And it was kind of lame. And then Legion blew everybody's mind, and they all loved it. Like, everyone had such short memories about this stuff. Like, we were all there before.
I don't think it's a short memory. I think most people remember that they screw up every other expansion.
Yeah, I don't know about every other.
Like, it's almost universal. Burning Crusade's the only exception. It's pretty decent. It doesn't necessarily hold up as great as it should, but it's pretty decent. Wrath is great. Cataclysm is bad. Pandaria is great. Warlords of Draenor is bad. Legion is great. Battle for Azeroth is bad. Like, it's just...
Okay, well, even if that's the pattern, then I can't wait for next year when... I'm not saying you guys, but I can't wait for next year when everyone who's singing the praises of the evens and not the odds will, all their tunes will change. I guess what I'm saying is there's so much hyperbole around all this stuff, and there's so much, like, WoW was only good when it was in its original state. Well, then they could have made an MMO they sold for $40 and everybody played it and finished it, and there was an expansion put out, but that was the end of it. That's not what they were going to make. They were going to make a thing that was meant to last 20 years or more.
Yeah.
And so that's what they're doing.
I think they have successfully, but I don't think it's crazy for people to say, you know what, it was better then. And for that to be completely true to them. Because I think what Bo wants from a video game and I think what you want from a video game, this game specifically, are very different things. I think even if before Classic, even before we threw that wrinkle into the mix, if you took 5 WoW players and said, what direction does this game need to go, you would get 5 different answers. Yeah. And I think they'd be fighting with each other the whole time too. Like, nobody has the same idea of what direction WoW needs to go. The reason Classic seems so unified is because it is a version of WoW that is locked in time and unchanging that people can look at and go, I'm happy with this. Battle for Azeroth, people could be pissed off all the time because in theory, it's in flux. In theory, there could be a patch tomorrow that fixes everything I don't like about that game. Or there could be another expansion coming down the line that fixes everything I like about that game. Yeah. But it's not locked in time. Like, in some ways, all the expansions are better in hindsight because there's no longer the opportunity for that change because it is what it is and it's in its purest form, like it or hate it. Like, honestly, if I went back and redid Warlords of Draenor, I'd probably say, oh, you know what? This isn't as bad as I thought. Because I'm not spending every single day logging into my garrison hoping they'll give me something different in the game. I know exactly what to expect from that. Yeah. And that's what WoW Classic is offering people.
Yeah, I think that's a fair way to put it. I think that's exactly it, actually. I think that's the mentality. I think there's a lot of psychology going on, is all I would say, on all sides. And Blizzard's trying to enact the best business practice to extract the most money from the most returning and playing people possible. That will be the one true constant here. They're not going to do anything that jeopardizes that. So if they think the more, like, I'd love to know real numbers, but if the more part of people just gravitate back to normal, which I'm starting to see in my friends list, by the way, I'm starting to see faces in there and people that were in nothing but WoW Classic, and they're all kind of hopping over into retail these days. So I'm not saying it's all about to shift or that they're all wrong about Classic, because they're not. Classic's awesome. But at some point, they're all going to hit 60 and realize that's the end of that. unless Blizzard has a huge announcement about what they're going to do with Classic. And they may blow our minds and go, we're adding content that was never there before. And they basically do what Bo said last week, create a bunch of game in the vanilla space, in the vanilla world, in Azeroth, that just lives there and nowhere else, and has its
That'd
own
be pretty cool.
branch. That would be cool. I just don't know if they'll do it, but
I don't think they should, to be honest with you. I know what they should do. It's come to me now over the weekend. They have all this existing assets. They should just release a new game. They could literally make 0 new art and 0 new music and just release a new standalone with the assets of 15 years that they have. Instead of an expansion, make a standalone thing. So, because I always talk about WoW 2.0 being like, oh, we need a new engine, updated graphics. What if it was all the same graphics? It's just not an expansion. It's World of Warcraft, the next generation. World of Warcraft, the second planet, Azeroth 2. Like just a new 0 to 60 experience, designed top down. The thing is that I really appreciate about World of Warcraft is how committed people are to playing alts. Like on paper, that's stupid. You pick a class, you should play one character, and that's your contribution because it reflects real life. In real life, I only have certain skills I'm going to offer society. I can't offer them all the skills on my alt people, at least not yet.
No, but you change your major all the time, or people do.
So, but you level all the way to 120. You have this commitment. Just I'm trying to be rational about it. Why would I spend all this time being, dwarf warrior, and now I want to be a shaman, right? But people do it. They love rolling new characters. So everyone, and Classic has shown this, everyone's game to start a new level 1 character in a new world to explore with all the lessons learned, but we don't have to tack on 10% of a game and rush us through 10 levels so that we can get to end game content. Because you want to keep people on the treadmill. The best treadmill in World of Warcraft is getting levels, right?
Yeah.
If I would gladly play a brand new version of World of Warcraft that was like 0 to 100. And it's like, you're going to be playing this game for months. And of course, some pro is going to do it in 5 days, but most of us don't do that. Most of the paying customers are probably not rushing through the content, and that'd be fun. And they could make 0 new art assets. I bet you they're creative enough just to make some new land masses, take all the textures they have and tricks, and just make Azeroth 2, Azeroth the next generation.
Yeah, but how do they monetize that?
Not a new engine. A subscription fee, as they always have.
A new one, though, on top? So the split
Same one.
Well, see, there's no way in hell that ever happens. Because you could say, they don't have to create new art, but they have to create a new game. That is a monstrous.
You take the classic team.
The reason I say
have to do anything because the game's designed.
Yeah, but didn't they admit that they?
Wait. That's not what I'm making. The argument I'm not making is a cost. I'm saying the people would accept a game with the same graphics. The people wouldn't look at WoW the next generation. The consumers wouldn't look at a product like that and go, no new graphics, I'm not playing that. I think they'd be on board because it'd be just like an expansion, which you get very little in the way of new graphics. I mean, you probably get a lot, but so I'm saying, can expansions on retail just say, that's the story, it's concluded. We now fast forward 100 years later to Azeroth, and how has it changed? And just release a 0 to 60 thing with all the new lessons. Like I don't in an expansion, what really sucks is like there's these dungeons that are like 110 to 112 and then 112 to 114. I don't have time. By the time I'm done questing, I'm already 116. But I love that, I'm ready for Wailing Caverns. This is my tier where I'm going to do certain pieces of content and I've got time to do it. And I'm not over leveled and just doing heroics right out the gate. Like the past 3 expansions, I'm basically heroic ready in like 3 days. Like, they want to earn our subscription. They want to earn my subscription fee because when I'm done with Classic, I'm not going back to retail. I'm playing Gears 5 or Borderlands 3 or something else. So if they want to compel my dollars, I need a new MMO. and I can't. What it made me realize is I don't need a new graphical overhaul. I'd be happy playing with the current graphics in Gen if they gave me a world to explore and not some dingy, low effort expansion. And I'm sorry, there's lots of great art in it, but content wise, my opinion, it's not worth my time compared to the other games on offer out in the world.
That's true, but also what you're saying is that's also true for Classic now. You're not going to play that again either. You're not going to turn right around and go, well, I did that. Let's go play another character in Classic and let's do all this over again. You're not going to do that.
I don't know. I'm not thinking about my plans for it. I'm just still logging in as long as it's still enjoyable, and we're taking it day by day. But what's important is that I'm playing it when I just signed up for Xbox Live. I could be playing Gears 4 or any. I just got 100 free games, Scott. I'm playing none of them. I'm playing WoW Classic because that's what's exciting when I get home.
You want to hear? Want to hear something really weird?
WoW Classic.
Let me tell you something really weird. I have 100 games to play. I also just got Game Pass. I also just got a bunch of new Steam stuff, and I'm playing retail World of Warcraft for no good reason.
We're brothers in that regard. We're both playing WoW.
That's what I'm saying. That's what I'm saying. The genius of this is it's gotten everybody from every corner to come back and do something. A lot of them, maybe in Classic, that's where the bulk is right now. I don't know.
Here's another game on the games looking forward to list: Warcraft 3 Remastered. Maybe not for you two, but I never played Warcraft 3.
Oh, you
so
should. It's
I'm
good.
actually looking forward to finally digging in high quality.
I've thought about it. I'm not really in an RTS mood, but I wouldn't mind playing through that again. I love that game.
I mean, I just play it on even easy just to see the story, because to what my understanding is, Warcraft 3 set a lot of the groundwork for World of Warcraft.
Oh yeah, big time. Yeah, big time. That will be, especially for you, that is 100% worth it. You should totally do that if they can give us a damn.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to it. That's like on my list. So
we don't even know. We still have never gotten a release date for that thing. Wonder what they're gonna do.
No, but I assume it's this year, probably around BlizzCon, right? To hype.
Yeah,
Warcraft 3.
You could see them getting up on stage going, and it's out next Tuesday, or something like that. That's possible.
Sometimes they release it. No, haven't they released some games just before BlizzCon?
Mm-hmm.
Excuse me.
They did.
They don't seem to plan as much around it as people tend to assume they would.
Yeah.
If that makes sense. Like, there's always an assumption of, oh, this will be just in time for BlizzCon, and then they'll put it out at a weird time, or you'll see a trailer crop up like 2 weeks before BlizzCon. You're like, why'd you do that?
Yeah.
I
want to say Overwatch was the week after BlizzCon for a launch. Maybe I'm thinking of a WoW expansion. I can't remember, but yeah, I mean, just it's the same for. I mean, everyone's got their fall releases, so they're in the fall most of the time. Except both Diablo and StarCraft were in the spring and summer of their years. But I could see them doing that with Warcraft 3. I have a few reasons of thinking that, but one of the major reasons is they have yet to announce a release date, and that feels like they're being cagey about what they want to do, and this would be a great time to make everybody happy with it. So
I think the store says that Warcraft 3 has to be released, like it said, it'll be before December 31st, 2019.
Do they have that down there? Okay.
Yeah, there's some bit of text in there, so it's sometime this year.
All right, that makes sense. John, I need to know about this planet you're holding hostage in No Man's Sky before we move past all this.
So this is a dumb little story that I kind of stumbled into playing No Man's Sky. I had taken a little break from that game. I'd been playing it a lot, stepped away for a while. I stepped away in the middle of exploring a particular galaxy. And I think I had landed on 3 or 4 planets. There's 5 and a moon or something like that there. And I logged back in, and as I was checking my map to see which planets I had not explored yet, I noticed that one of the planets was called Hoth, which I'm a Star Wars fan, but not avid enough to start naming all the planets in No Man's Sky after Star Wars planets, so I knew it wasn't me. And I moused over it, and sure enough, it was discovered about 3 days prior to when I logged in by somebody else. Somebody else stumbled upon this universe. I got credit for finding it. I had gotten credit for most of the planets, but this was an undiscovered planet. They named it Hoth. What I discovered was that they must have really fancied one of the planets, because they had built their home on one of the planets that I discovered.
Oh, boy.
So I went flying down there, and I checked out their home. I walked through it. It was fine. It's all right.
They're working on it. You could get inside their house and everything and walk around it?
Oh, yeah, absolutely. Not only could I get in, but they gave me a marker to go see it. I was just like, all right, let's go check it out. So I explored their home, touched their things, whatever. And I was like, yeah, this is nice. They're clearly setting up shop. But what I realized, and this is where I'm really struggling with the little devil on my shoulder, is that I have credit for discovering this planet, which means I get to name this planet, which means I get to pick the name of the planet that this person has said, this is my favorite planet and I've made my home here. and there's something in me that wants to just name it something awful. Now, I can't go too far because you can report names that you think are offensive or terrible, but basically, I hold in my hand the ability to name the planet of this guy's little home base.
Like, only stupids live here planet.
I could do that. I could make it a commentary about him. I could just make him live on the planet Dorf or something. And it's just like, well, from now on, he has to know that he resides on the planet Dorf. And
Oh, what would be a good one? What's the most lamest thing? Like,
so this is why I
Burgerville?
wanted to bring it before you all to show you that I have
is
this
awesome,
power.
John.
Let's work on it together. Let's see what we can come up with.
Oh, this is too good. This is some emergent gameplay is what this is. I don't know. Should we get like listener feedback and stuff in the Discord before you make any decision?
Chat room, my current favorite is somebody said Grundle.
Grundle.
The planet Grundle. It's pretty good.
I mean, it could be.
what about calling it taco meat?
That's not bad. Hey, do you know the guy's
Taco?
name? Do you know the player's name? Like his character name?
No, it's kind of a weird name, kind of oddly long. So
Oh, shoot. Because you could do something super rude to his name. Like if his name was like, I don't know, Parker. You could call him Parker the Penis, and or the planet is Parker the Penis's planet, or something dumb like that. Like you could really go crazy.
Let's call it Dumb Planet.
Yeah,
Dumb Planet is a good name for a planet. This is Dumb Planet.
that's not bad. Welcome to Dumb Planet. Everything's stupid here. I like it.
Some other good suggestions from the chat: Planet McPlanet Face, Potato Sack, Limp Cucumber. There's some good ones.
These aren't bad.
So,
They're good band names
Keep
too.
throwing
by the
out
way.
ideas.
Yeah.
If you want to send me some on Twitter, we'll come up with a name for this guy's planet. We'll name it. I'll screenshot it. We'll...
Just call it old people.
You have to tell everybody I live on old people.
Yeah. Or what's low game
It's just
IQ?
it shows the planet in the bottom left, so we'll have to look at those words all the time that he's in the base.
Yeah.
Uh-huh.
Yeah. He'll
So,
see it all the time.
What's the lamest thing he could do to his Rekka's immersion?
And he's got
You don't wanna
all his
make it-
stuff there. I love that his stuff is all there because he's gonna feel an investment there no matter what, right? And you control
He
it.
named the trees. So I don't usually do that. I just upload with whatever auto-generated tree is.
Yeah.
He named the trees Woodies.
Wow.
So that's the naming area we're
Yeah, so
living
he'll
in.
like it. It sounds like the kind of person that'd like it if you called it like Penis Land. So
Yeah.
like,
yeah.
let's make it lame.
And
right?
then
It's
if you
gotta
get a
be
complaint somehow, which I know there's no way for him to really do, but if he puts up a sign or something that says, "Hey, how can we name it that?" Just say, "No, it's Penn Island. It's Penn Island."
lame. I know. call it. What's it? Get out and vote or something like
Get out and vote. Wow.
that.
That's actually really good. Get out and
rock the
vote
vote.
the planet.
Just rock the vote.
Yeah.
Just something like super lame.
Only
Yeah,
sad
voting's
dudes.
important, but kids don't like that stuff.
Right. It's important, but you don't want that to be the planet you live on.
Yeah. That's true.
Yeah, it wrecks whatever wrecks your immersion. So it can't be like profane or gross. It's got to be like
Something funny like pubis. Call it pubis. I like pubis.
pubis.
Yeah.
Call it Christian Hayden's.
Christian Haydenson's
Christian Haydenson.
on the planet Hoth, or no, it's in the same system, I guess.
Actually, oh my gosh, he named it Hoth. He's clearly a Star Wars fan.
Yep.
Christian Hayden.
Christian
Oh,
Haydenson.
call it Star
Probably-
Wars. Star Wars sucks.
What if we named it Endor, but we misspelled it?
That's not bad. And how would you do it? How would you spell indoor? Like indoor, like INDOR
Yeah.
or EN
Indoor.
double OR. That's pretty good. Something like that. Something
Or
super
just
dumb.
name it Chewbacca, but
There you go.
give it
Yeah, there
misspell
you
it
go.
on top of
Yeah.
it.
Chow Buka.
He's trying to make his Star Wars galaxy, and just like here's planet Chewbacca.
I love it.
Chewbacca.
You're gonna have to report back on what you ultimately decide and how it's
We could
received.
name it Picard.
You totally could name it Picard. You're right.
That's
You know
a
what?
good
You
planet name.
you
I'd
can
say
also do really mean things to him if you wanted. You can't destroy his stuff because that's not the way the game works. But you can out in front of his compound, just create the biggest, deepest, worst moat ever with the land thing.
Oh yeah,
Yeah.
use the terrain destruction. Wait,
Yeah.
his save probably will override it.
I don't.
Yeah, I think there is something about
It's
that.
protected if you have a base computer. I think
It claims an area when you plant your base.
Oh, I wonder how
computer
big
and all
that
of
is. That area. Because
It's big.
just is it? Shoot.
Yeah.
because with the terrain manipulator, you can also create terrain. So you could create a phallus-shaped like statue in the middle of this thing.
Yes. That's stuff
I've
like
used it
that,
to
or
create
you could,
like big rock structures. You can actually do that.
and you could, if it doesn't save over it. I don't know how this would work, but if you could lay down a bunch of objects and spell stuff on the ground, that's
Just find out where the border is. So all around the border is like these giant penis statues, like in a giant. It's like It's like it being in Salt Lake City, but imagine instead of mountains, it's just giant penis statues the whole way around in the horizon.
that'd be great. And then he can't do anything about it because his save area is not that big. That's
Yeah,
not
make
bad.
sure to save your own bases.
Oh, that's
You're trying to put a base
idea.
computer till you get to that border, and then do it in all different directions. Or put 6 base computers around his base.
Yeah, I feel like that's a great idea.
We can do multiplayer. I'll help you. I'll put some bases on there.
Yeah.
Okay.
Why not?
We can look into this. We can figure
There's
it
3
out.
of us. We could all log in, put base computers around his base.
Yeah.
I mean, his base is on an island, so really we could just do in the water around the island, so that when you gaze across the water, it's just lined.
But you can
around.
claim water. Have you gotten done the underwater stuff?
Yeah,
yeah,
there's
I've
cool
done some of
stuff
that.
underwater.
So you should be able to use a terrain manipulator to just build a giant pole up out of the ocean, and then put balls in a phallus on top.
I mean,
The water won't stop us.
the reason I'm not much of a troll people in video games kind of guy, but the reason this works for me is because it is an infinite galaxy with infinite places to go and be. And you two found yourselves on this same chunk of ground for a myriad of lucky reasons. It's the ultimate in RNG. You should capitalize on it and be emergent about it. If this was a
I
game
agree.
where, you know what I'm saying? Like, it's not the same as you going into somebody's Heroes of the Storm game and just running Lily into the towers over and over. That's different. This is you going, we're in this galaxy. We could go anywhere. It's infinite possibilities. It's mostly still undiscovered. Almost entirely still undiscovered, percentage-wise. So you could go off and find another Hoth-like planet any time you want to do it. But no, you planted your ground here. You named the trees Woody, and this is where we find ourselves. This is emergent gameplay. I kind of like that. I'm into it. You should do it.
I'm
join you
currently
for that.
leaning the name it after Star Wars characters and misspell their names.
It's not bad.
But if you want to get serious about it, I'm up for building phalluses. I think Scott should join us too.
That's a
many
great-
hands. When making phalluses, many hands make light work.
That was amazing sentence, by the way. If you want to get
Yeah,
serious
that was
about
good.
this, if you want to get serious, I'm here to make phalluses.
I feel like we might hear that on TMS one day.
That's enough. That's enough to pull me from WoW Classic.
That's
I'll forget
enough to
it.
do it. Okay, now we know what it takes. That's fantastic.
That sounds more interesting than playing WoW Classic to me.
Well, what's more interesting than an email? Nothing is the answer. Got an email from Adam A, who wrote in. He says, the subject was Core and Slay the Spire likes. He says, hey, Core, have any of you guys or gents checked out Griftlands? It's Slay the Spire, like that it uses 2 decks, a combat deck and a negotiation deck. That's the thing that actually separates it, because when you communicate and just talk, you actually have a deck for that. Anyway, it's in early access on everyone's favorite store, the Epic Store. It's cheap enough, though, that it might be worth it. It is only $15. This is Clay Entertainment. They make all my favorite games. I love those guys. I still say that Invisible Ink is one of the greatest games ever made, and they make plenty of other really great games. Mark of the Ninja is still a freaking classic, and I'll play it any day of the week. So I have high hopes for this thing. I'm a little bummed that it's in early access only on Epic. Certainly it'll end up everywhere, because that's what all these exclusives end up doing. It looks really interesting. It's got their really unique art style. It does this deck building stuff in a really unique way. The fact that you can just talk to an NPC using a deck that is all about persuasion and deception or honesty, or making them happy or making them sad, and you play that deck the way you would a combat deck, is so cool. So I'm already there, Adam. I'm with you. I just haven't pulled the trigger. I would totally get this game.
Yeah, that sounds like something that I'd like. I will look into that.
Yeah.
That sounds great.
Yeah, that SteamWorld Quest game is also very good, although it's not so spire-y. It's kind of Slay the Spire, but that's a good game too. There's a lot of these right now. I like it when a big indie hit inspires a bunch of design choices in other games. I think it's great. So why not these guys? These guys take other people's really good ideas and they make it their own in a way. Clay Entertainment that they just make games for me, man. Just love those guys. They should make an MMO, a 2D animated MMO. Then I'm in, but only to level 60. Then I quit. That's how that's gonna go. I want it to be an MMOL, massively online multiplayer, limited. No one's ever done one of those before. What about an MMO that never had an expansion? Is that what Classic is?
There's been a lot of those, actually. There's been a lot of MMOs that had real hard stops.
Yeah,
but not on purpose. They didn't want to. They had to because it sucked, or they otherwise couldn't get the audience. But anyway, it's something to think about. Thank you, Adam, for your email. If you want to send us emails, you just go to the website and click on the contact link. That's frogpants.com/core. That's what Adam A. did. That's what you could do as well. Or you can leave us a voicemail at 801-471-0462. That's 801-471-0462. I think that's everything. Do we have any final words of wisdom for the audience before we go today, guys? Anything else you want to say? Add to?
I don't think so.
No?
Whatever version of World of Warcraft you're playing, enjoy yourself.
Yeah, have fun in there.
There's no right version of World of Warcraft.
Well, some people think there is, but I think
they're wrong.
I think that there's no such thing as a consensus on anything in this life. So why would WoW be any different? But yes, I'm happy to see just the sheer positivity in the community that's happening right now. We have not had that in a while across Blizzard. It's been a bit of a year, so let it rain. I think we need it. John, anything you want to add?
If there's one thing we can all agree on, it's that we will never agree on anything.
That's true. If I've learned anything, the only absolute in life is that there are no absolutes. I like that one. My dad used to say that. What else?
Yeah. Remember when Obi-Wan said that only Sith deal with absolutes?
Yeah, I remember.
That's an absolute statement.
Yep. Yep. So that's why the only absolute statement is there are no absolutes.
Right.
Right?
Oh.
You only believe in one absolute, and that absolute is there are none. Which can get a little screwy if you think about it too hard. And the chat, someone in the chat already disagrees. That's their proof in the pudding, everybody. Don't eat that pudding. All right. That's going to do it for the show. Thank you all for being here. Lots to do between next time we see you again, so have fun. Play your games. We'll discuss them next Wednesday. For me, for Brian. Nope, there's no Brian here. For me, for who's on the show? John, and for what?
That energy really ran out near the end of the show there.
Time for another burrito.
The crash is coming. The crash is real. Sorry, John and Bo and me. We'll see you next week. This show is part of the Frog Pants Network.
Frog Pants Network.
Get more shows like this at frogpants.com. I forgot to play the thing that we forget to play for the emails.
That's a good question.